call the March 11th meeting of the Fire Station Building Committee to order. The first item on the agenda would be the approval of the minutes from February 28th, 2024 meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair, motion to approve the minutes from the 20th.
I hear a second.
No, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. I'd like to move up item number 7, single point of contact discussion. I had actually requested this because I think the architects and the OPM are a little overwhelmed with this project already. And if all of us have the ability to go speak to them on our own, I think they're going to be more overwhelmed. So I'd like to propose that the chief be our contact person. All questions go through the chief, and that the chief can be the one that relays the questions and then brings the information back to us. I think it's important that we all hear the same information and get the same information and know what questions are out there. Any discussion?
I mean, this might be related to some questions that I had proposed to the OPM.
You can show engine 2.
Does it?
That's part of it, yeah.
Okay.
But it's not all of it. It's
Yeah.
the fact that once one person can
Yeah.
do it, all of us can.
Yeah, I think I copied you and the chief on everything. Couldn't copy all of everybody because of the open meeting law, but there were some questions that I think should have been asked at the meeting where we received the financial details that really shouldn't have waited until the next meeting. So I thought it was important to educate myself, and maybe nobody else had interest in that level of detail. So I posed some questions, and it generated some substantial discussion, which I thought was very, very good. I am concerned if no one can contact, and if it's, through the chief. I mean, I felt it was connected to the chief. I didn't want to do anything aside. But, if that's the will of the committee, that's the will of the committee. So the select board will have questions, and, we'll go through Tim on anything there. But I think my concern is it would slow down the process.
I don't have any problem with questions, but I just think there should be one person that talks to them and answers to them, because I think if any of us or all of us, I think all of us have questions.
Mhm.
There's not anybody that didn't have questions, and we all have financial questions. But I think if we're all submitting individually, we're not all hearing what comes back.
Correct.
And the responses also go through the chief?
Everything.
Okay, so
Yeah, I
are
think
you
that's,
ready for that, chief?
Oh, I am, and I know, Mitch, you had a phone call with them as well,
yeah,
right?
there's a team's call.
So I don't know anything that happened in that call, and I don't know if there was any information exchange, so I can't speak to that. But any emails have been copied back and forth. I have copies of those.
I have concerns about that process slowing things down. And there's a benefit to having a direct conversation. And I didn't mean to exclude you to that. You didn't invite you to it. You could have been there. But I'm concerned about limiting that process and being able to move forward as quickly as we need to.
The concern I would have is that you call them, ask for a meeting, you have a meeting for an hour, they charge us. Same questions, he calls and asks for a meeting.
Yep.
Has an hour for a meeting, they charge us. John calls and it's the same
Yep.
questions over and over. So I just would love it if that didn't have to.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the root of the concern, and I put this at the head of email in which I posed the initial questions to Tim as our OPM, is we did not have time for financial discussion. We didn't get any detail, and we got nothing in advance. So the public knows when you saw the meeting, our last meeting, where we received some top level numbers, that was the moment that anyone on this board saw those top level numbers, and we saw no detail. We had no discussion about that. I was getting, probably as the select board representative on this committee, getting a lot of questions that I couldn't answer. And that's an uncomfortable situation. We should see that information. We should have the opportunity to go through it. I've expressed my concerns that should not be the case, that we should really have spent time. We should have received information in advance and had the opportunity to go. That would have been better. Instead, our next meeting was scheduled for 2 or 3 weeks out. That would have caused more harm to the project. If you would like, I'll send everything to the chief, or to Tim.
This isn't my decision.
Tim sent an email out the other day. Did you see a copy of that?
I don't know the answer to that.
He sent an email out to everyone at HKT and the OPM and said, any information should come to me.
Okay.
Because I think he thought he's got enough stuff on his plate, so.
Yeah.
He just did that. And again, I don't care who's talking to who. I just don't want to have them charge us 4 times for the same conversation.
Mhm.
I agree that information is needed. I don't disagree with it. I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
Yeah.
But I can always then disperse that out individually or to everyone.
Yeah.
So we're all getting the same information.
And I think it's.
I'll forward, now that I couldn't do it before a meeting. Now that we're having a meeting, we're talking about this process. I will send that email with a lot of notes.
And I think they answered all your questions fairly well.
They did.
I think Tim did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there were questions I knew could be answered.
Yep.
I'd say the topmost item from a financial perspective was that one of the concerns that I had was cost escalation was included in the TSI estimate as well as in Collier's. And Collier's initial concern was that the cost escalation was only to 1 point and they wanted to carry it through. One other point, it turned out they were doubling the cost escalation. So there's $800,000-$900,000 extra in there.
But I think to your point, we're at the point where we've got significant detail to dig into.
Yeah.
And we have to do it with a scout or a hatchet or a chainsaw. I think a single point of contact makes sense. I think the fact that we're blindsided on some of this relative to when we got it, now it's in the public domain, it's there, it's done. I don't think things will be slowed down by having a single point of contact and the chief is paid for it.
Commissioners, I respond to him on the weekend, so.
And I feel bad about that.
And
I
the
do.
chief,
Trust me, it's nothing.
the chief, I think we're all responsive
Yeah.
in terms of any communication, and certainly I think we have all had sense of urgency with this project.
These are schematic design numbers.
Mhm.
We're gonna be looking at budget numbers for the next 6 months. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be moving back and forth. So I think we'll vet these numbers quite thoroughly through time.
And I think it's important for the public to understand, Whammo, you got the shock value,
Yeah.
it's now in the advocate.
Yeah.
The market's 43, 48.
Yeah.
And you set an expectation.
Mhm.
So I think the next expectation is, we're gonna drill that back
Mhm.
as best we can.
Well, we already at the last meeting cut.
We cut out
something, so.
Yeah, I mean, we chose certain alternates that were less expensive than the top end alternates.
Yeah, and I think that's a
Yeah.
work in progress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it definitely is. But the root of this was the lack of any financial discussion or plan for any financial discussion at that last meeting.
She can't turn on it.
You guys go ahead.
Okay, so by agreement or?
No,
Yeah, hold on.
I'm good with that. Okay, so the chief is the sole point of
Can you
contact.
see, you can't see anything,
And I
right? You
think
can
that
see it, but you
she's-
just can't communicate it.
So it's not that she won't get like that too, yeah.
She can see you, chief. Necktie.
Almost. Within a day.
Keep in mind that
She
the chief
can't see
as a
who's in the
voting member and
That's because of the way it's pointing.
is also bound by the
Now
open
she
meeting
can.
law and can't share it with the rest of the board until a meeting.
Can you see now, Diane?
That's a,
Or we could call.
She should have just gotten a request to unmute.
Okay. The 9/11 Memorial relocation.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
She's gonna have to listen for now. She can call in, give her my cell phone, have her call in.
Diana? Diana?
Just have her call my cell phone, put her on speaker. So back when we first started talking about this project, Captain Brillhart and some of the other firefighters come up and said, hey, we have this 9/11 monument in town that we'd love to move to the station. We think it would be a great place for it. And I said, well, where is it? And he said, oh, it's over here.
Pleasant Street.
It's the corner of Pleasant and Church. So I went looking for it one day and here it is. It's the corner of Pleasant and Church. You can see there's a little walkway up around, there's a tree, and then you can see the monument. And then they had told me at the time they thought it was an Eagle Scout project when it was done.
John Phelps.
So I started researching. And I cannot find, you know how hard it is to find any information on this? So what I did find was a video. And I found the video, I started reviewing a video, which finally told me it was Troop 1. So I got that far. I sent an email to the troop. This is who I sent it to, Arnold. I have no idea if he's still the scoutmaster or not. I have not heard back. So based on all my research, this project was, sorry,
All
my
wet.
granddaughter.
This project is all
my
wet.
granddaughter. I'm in trouble now. So the project was done. It was donated to the town on that. I asked, I cannot tell if it's an Eagle Scout project. I asked Dawn, she thought it was a troop project. Do you think it was an Eagle Scout
I
project?
do, yeah, because I donated the stone.
Okay,
And you said it was
Well, there
John
you go.
Phelps,
So I think it was John.
so his father is Alan.
Alan lives on South Street.
does anybody have any contact?
I was on the call.
Okay, what I'm trying to find out is this. So they donated it to the town. So the town, I don't think, has to ask them. But in my opinion, and coming up through scouts and having kids that were scouts and being a former leader, I think out of respect, we need to reach out to them and say, hey, we'd like to move this because we think it'll get a lot more traffic if we put it where we want to put it. And is that okay with you? And I've already talked to the architect. They haven't worked into the site design, but I wanted to get the body, the committee's opinion on if they think that's a good idea or not.
Yes,
do.
Makes sense.
yes, and I think we're doing it in a respectful manner.
Yeah, I had a real problem with just moving it without anything. So I'm drafting a letter to send to the select board. But it's drafted and sitting there, but I don't want to send it until I speak with the scouts.
Yeah.
So if you can have them reach out to me, that would be awesome. And then I will. Hi, Diana, hang on. I'm gonna put you on speaker, okay? Okay, you're on speakerphone. Everyone can hear you now.
Okay.
And I can see your name up on the Zoom thing. So the idea was that's why I'm going to talk to you, because we don't need to do a vote on that, I don't think. Okay, I'm not going to send it, Mitch, to the select board until such time that I actually have some facts on it. I don't think it's that crucial as part of it, but and I'll show you as I'm going over the presentation I've done where it's going to be going, or at least where it's proposed to go. That's it.
Yeah, I'd say, get the consent of, the scout or family that was involved with this, which I suspect they would do.
I would assume.
And then we make it just part of our project. We don't need to, I don't think, call it out any specific.
I just wanted to make sure, well, I thought the board should make the decision, at least the select board, to move it, because
Yeah, particularly if the board approved that location initially.
that's what I was thinking.
You're right.
Must have been
Yeah.
approved, and it's town land.
Yeah.
So I just thought there should be an approval process of some sort, and then it'll just part of the process. Okay, that's it for that
John,
one.
you were very involved in it, so do you
Apparently
have any
buying
problem with it?
No, I mean, it was an Eagle Scout project and he came to me and asked if I would be interested in helping out. So sure.
I think it's great. I love it, but I just want,
You're gonna bring all those pavers and the.
We'll bring everything.
stone? Okay, you might want to rearrange it because it's gotten a little, was it 20 years old? Yeah, so it's,
well, it's going to be coming over there, so that however they put it in there, they'll be.
Okay,
Well, thank you for doing that.
review presentation for select board meeting.
So I was asked by the town administrator to do a presentation to the select board meeting, which is why we're having this meeting on this Monday morning, because I'm doing it tonight. However, as we just discussed, I truly feel that I'm speaking, but it's our presentation, right? Because it's the committee's, so I don't want it to be everything that I'm putting out there. So I wanted to get your opinion. Just going to zip through it real quick, see if there's something you think I should add, something I should delete. I did talk to Tim, Alex, to see if he could come tonight, and he's already got another meeting at 7. He's going to try, but the other meeting's an in-person meeting. So he said, if I can get out and do a Zoom, I'm going to do that. But we talked a little bit about numbers and stuff, and he's going to try to come in to clarify some concerns that may be there. So this is what I put up. So I'm going to escape from this real quick. This is 2 presentations in one. So this is a presentation I'm doing tonight, but it's also the presentation I'm working on for the town meeting. I have those files hidden. They're just down here further. I don't think I need to go through the whole timeline that I already went through with the select board in my initial presentation. That's just kind of a waste of time. But I did. Yes,
Sorry, can you share your screen on Zoom, please?
I can't, but I can turn it so you can see it. Hang on. Because I'm on 2 different computers, Diana.
Yeah.
Can she see that?
Can you see it now?
I can see the bottom 2/3 of it.
Okay, Dan.
Yeah.
Tip the thing up probably, she can see more. If not, take the whole screen back.
Yeah, keep going. There you go, perfect, thank you.
There we go. So this is what I put together. Please jump in anytime. I'm not going to go over everything, but I just want to show you what my idea is. So the idea is to show, again, the current station, these were the apparatus. When they built this station, this is the apparatus they had. They had 7 pieces of apparatus and they were overcrowded. That's why they built the station. This is what we have now. Okay, we have 18 pieces of apparatus. And here's the sizes. I just did that real quick. I took the timeline and I got rid of everything previous, all the things that we did in the feasibility, and that's because that's not really relevant, but I want to talk about where we are now. Okay, so I talked a little bit about I got program development in here, which is what we did, the schematic design phase, which is completed, and now we're in design development phase. And I put the proposed dates for the design review meeting, the ZBA meeting, and the planning board meeting. Those dates, I believe, are correct. Those are the ones that are were sent out in the last milestone schedule that Janet and Amy updated for us. Diana, you said something about pushing back design review in an email to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna be making design changes in the CG phase, so I mean, that's not ideal, but that's the reality. So I feel like having the final design review meeting halfway through design development is probably too early.
Okay, well, we can reach out to design review and see if they would rather we wait until we get further along. That's fine. And then I'll.
They don't normally have people come to them that are doing a project that's this large that has such a long schedule with a very distinct SD, DD, CD progression.
Okay.
So I know they're anxious about it. They want to see what's going on, but there's going to be more known about the design. Like the material selection will not be finalized in design development, especially the clips that they're moving.
Okay, I can reach out to them and I'll send an email to design review, or actually, I think Amy's here.
I am,
Is that okay if would you rather we come later or do you not have a preference?
probably as it gets more finalized.
Okay, I'll reach out to Janet and let her know that. Everybody okay with that? Okay, I'll reach out and let her know. And then construction documents. I thought these dates were important. I wanted to throw these up here, although we discussed them before. The deadline for the select board to place it on the ballot is 9/24. The meeting should no later than 10/14. Our recommendation is 10/7. And then the debt exclusion vote will be 11/5. So I just wanted to put those up there. This is the new site layout that we all looked at and we're okay with. I'm going to talk a little bit about this, how this site change gives us a lot more snow storage on the side over here, gives us more room for walkways, and gives us more site storage, snow storage in other areas around there. What I did is I put all the wall designs in here that were presented to us. Now I know as a committee, we voted that we wanted to go with a batter wall, but all the designs, I believe, no, the terrace wall, the batter wall, and the straight went to design review. The 5 terrace wall didn't because we thought that was just crazy, right? So this was the straight wall. That's the batter wall. That's the one that we had said we liked, that we had the price on. This was the batter wall with the terrace that we're waiting for the price on. This was the multi-step one that did not go to the design review. And then this was the 3-step one that we talked about. This was the one that was 600,000 above base, I believe. So that one did go. So I just wanted to talk about those real quick and, you know, why we did that, why we looked at them. Anybody okay with those ones? Okay. A little bit about the interior design, the fact that it's, and the total square foot is 22,000 on this floor. That's the footprint. Okay, the total building square footage is 30,000, but that includes the second floor. So that's important to understand, right? So the footprint itself is about 22,000 square feet. Designed as a clean station, 4 distinct operations. We'll talk a little bit about the operations and how it's broken down and why it's broken down that way. Then take us up to the second floor, total square footage, 8,000 feet. And then why it's broken up that way. Talk a little bit about the green roof spaces, the pergolas. And remember that I'll talk about the pergolas in a little bit, the training tower and the fire pole.
Chief, are you going to articulate the permutations we had in terms of how to set the building on the property and, public comment about a second floor or a basement or whatever you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
articulate that, or
yeah.
just talk to it.
I say, speak to, or if I can read my own, I do this all the time, I'll make a note and then I'll look later, and I say, what was I trying to say? Okay,
Alternatives, previous alternatives.
yep, I'd be happy to. And if I forget, will you remind me? You'll be next to me too. All right, so then what I wanted to do was actually walk people around the building. So they could see the last, and these are based on the last ones that we saw that we liked, okay? So I talked about, it's a red brick construction that caught current downtown. It's built to withstand harsh weather and to minimum, and with minimal ongoing maintenance, which is why we didn't want all the wood trim, because we're trying to save money in the long run, right? 2 arches over the bay to maintain the fire station field, the training tower with a clock to mirror historical field in the towns, and then the arches here, which originally was a 2-foot arch, but we were asked by design review to make that bigger, so we made that a 4-foot. When I say 4-foot arch, I mean depth, so people can get out of the weather. So it's a 4-foot protected. Thank you. So that was based on a design review comment. So I start with the bird's eye view from this side, so everyone can see the monitors that we talked about and the light that it puts into the building. I think that's really important.
That's an old slide. You still have parking on. the
Right,
left.
but that's the only one I have, unfortunately, of that one. And then this is the same thing, the other way. That shows, that's a newer slide. It's got the pergolas on the back, but it still shows the parking slightly on the other side. I remember those pergolas were put there based on a recommendation from design review. I think David said that we needed to put something back there to protect the people, so that's why we put those there. View from the back to show the areas where we could put PV. Now remember, the building has to be PV ready, and that's what I want to stress. Whether or not we put PV there will depend on whether or not we want to install it. We want to put that cost in now, or we want to take that cost later, but it's got to be PV ready. View from
Chief,
the,
could you step back?
certainly.
I see the monitors and the pitch on the left and the tower. Is that color indicative of a PV or just the monitor areas of the monitor?
So PVs can go here,
Yes.
and they can go here.
Okay.
And I think this flat area, this area here.
Okay.
Up here, probably not. That's a hip roof.
Yeah.
Remember, we talked about that being, I don't think, and Tom, you would know better than I, but I don't think.
Wheelchair.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
And again, this is facing the hill, right? So that's the back by the hill. Also, I don't know if you noticed any, but you can see the wall. This one really, you can see it in the back there. I wanted to make sure that we had a view from the back. And then this is the view from the northwest. Now, this is an important one. And what I did after this was I threw in this and this. And the reason I did that is because here's the sign. And this is where the memorial would go, along with a flagpole. I reached out to Amy and Janet. I said, I don't see a flagpole. They said, it's there. You have to look at one of the other sites. I said, okay. So I did find it. They pointed it out to me. So that's where I would propose we put that. It's right on the walkway coming in. People could actually stop by and see it. We're going to have a bench there. I think the whole idea just wraps it up much nicer, and people would actually have a reason to visit. Plus, when we do our current 9/11 ceremonies, we do them out front by our flagpoles. It'd be nice to have that thing there. Now, a lot of departments got steel. There's none left. It's all gone. Plus, I think this is nice. I think the town did this. The Boy Scouts did this. I don't think we need anything a whole lot fancier.
Chief, that stone of the old memorial, if it can't be cleaned up, you're gonna put a old patina next to everything else that's new.
Should that be able to be cleaned up though?
You can power wash it, I think.
I don't want you to-
I'm just thinking,
Okay.
the new brick, the new sign, the new sidewalks, everything is gonna, this is gonna stand out, and
Should we not worry about bringing the new bricks, the new?
those are bluestone pavers.
So should we bring those over, or just put something, whatever's going to match everything else there?
Maybe they could be cleaned up or maybe replaced.
Okay.
So everything looks new,
Okay.
you know, and just keep the stone.
Worst case, they can be repurposed someplace else.
Right. I'm just thinking that the contrast at the entry.
Okay. I'll make sure that gets mentioned to
I'll
the
talk to
architects.
Alan and his son.
Okay, excellent. This sign, and the reason I wanted to bring the sign up and put it on here is this is the one that we had voted on, but it came up during design review that the select board may be changing signs for all municipal buildings and making a vote. So if you watched it, you would have seen it. And I wanted, before we go any further, I had reached out to Mitch to say, is that the case? Should we not be going forward with this sign design? And Mitch said, no, I don't want to speak for you, so.
Yeah. No, my opinion is this was brought up by one member of the board during the report section at the end of the meeting. We've not had a discussion about it. We would have to go through several permutations, I imagine, of figuring out what those specs should be and everything else. This project should not hold up for that. So my opinion, it's just one of 5 members of the select board, is we move forward. And that policy should then apply to future projects. It is certainly feasible that the select board could vote differently and say all projects, including existing buildings, need to have the new design, and then we have to figure out how to do that and how to fund it and everything else.
I know it's early days, but would that be applicable to the top part or the LED or both?
All that's been discussed is a standard for sign design.
One of the things we do need to talk about is the LED, because somebody had mentioned that there's a prohibition against them downtown.
I've heard that from some people and heard opposite from other people, so I don't know. I mean, in the end, I suspect it's probably the zoning board or the building commissioner's call as to what.
So you could get an exemption, not an exemption, a variance potentially.
I don't know. the
If
answer
I
to
may,
that.
Madam Chair, Amy has her hand up.
Oh,
Recognize
I
it.
was. Oh, Amy Paretsky, but I'm on the planning board, but I'm not speaking for the whole board. But electronic signs aren't, they're only allowed on the highway, Route 9, and industrial areas, so they're not allowed downtown. So it would need a variance, but variance on use for a sign is tricky. Like you use variance, you can get a variance on the dimensions. But sign as use, the variance criteria is it has to be on the topography, the shape, or the soil. And it has to do with the use, not a sign. So that would be up to the ZBA.
And again, the purpose of it is to use it to notify of events, so we don't have that one we're dragging around at the, it's a much nicer way to notify people of town events and safety messages and that kind of stuff.
We already have something for that.
Which one?
We already have
The
the
line sign that has been hacked several times from outside and it doesn't work very well. That's why we're putting this one in. That's why we're
I
recommending
think
this one.
there should be a town-owned, town-managed sign, kind of like this in the downtown area.
Okay.
I think
Well, based on that comment, can we take the LED off? Have the master plan committee take care of that someplace else, keep this a fire station project? Can save money anywhere we can.
Well, that then shifts the money somewhere else.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
On that project.
Yeah,
And you know, pay me later.
yeah. Well, this happens to be a place that will be municipally owned and operated. So I think there is some consistency with if the town is going to have a downtown LED sign, it should probably be here. For West Main is another possibility. We don't know the disposition of that building, whether that will always be town owned.
I mean, to the point, we've got the mobile sign that we could put, but it's not very attractive. So this is, instead of putting it in front of a fire station every time there's something happening in town, much more preferable to have this.
Yeah, it's highly visible.
So maybe just continue forward and see if we can get a variance if that's what we need and then go from there. Okay. I just wanted to touch base with that. And this is again, just the west elevation, southwest elevation, the rear elevation, southeast elevation, east elevation. So the next slides I have are the ones that Tim had been in, this is the cost items.
Okay.
Okay, so this talks a little bit about schematic design options and analysis, right? I think you've all seen this, or you should have seen this before, right? Then it talks about the 14 alternate options and the 1 allowance order of magnitude, which we've already eliminated. A little bit about how the soft costs are, the different fees, how we got where we are. And I think this is why I was really hoping that Tim would be there, because he did a very good job explaining the escalation and the fact that, he says right in as that, where is it here? The escalation makes sense, that the price we have now very much matches the escalation that we had. And I can't find, I know it's right in here somewhere.
Second to last bullet point.
Thank you. Okay.
What's your square foot cost, chief?
Right now it's about 1,000. And when I reached out to other departments, that's what they're getting for quotes. I specifically spoke with the chief from Pepperell, and theirs was a little over 1,000. Wanted to put this in there because I think this is a very important note. These cost estimates are only good to the end of 2024. If we go past 2024, you're talking annual increase that we'd be up another 7 to 10%. So any delay is just going to increase the cost. You guys have seen this before, nothing new. And then I put this in there. And the only thing I did is I put the 2 X's across where we decided we really didn't think as a committee that these were good choices. And then that. Is that okay for tonight's presentation, guys? Anything else you think I should add, delete?
Near the beginning, in terms of comparing old versus new, I have 2 thoughts.
At the very
At
beginning?
the very beginning. Sorry to.
No, not at all.
Go through all
I
that.
got fast fingers. Okay.
Okay, so yes, so one difference that pulled me into this project very, very strongly early were the health issues.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that should be called out early and strongly, that the 1974 station was designed before anybody realized the prevalence of, honestly, lung cancer and lung-related illness.
It's not just lung, it's lung,
Yeah.
it's testicular, there's like 10 of them there, yeah.
That, and I know we know this, but I'll say this for audience and people watching at home. A firefighter comes back from a fire, they're covered in carcinogens. The old way of doing things, I think you had mentioned this once, is you're exhausted. You go to your bed, you throw all your dirty stuff down at the foot of the bed and you go to sleep.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then you're breathing that stuff. And that was the era under which the current station was designed, and it leads to all sorts of illnesses. Modern fire stations are designed entirely differently, that there is a design spot with certain airflow and cleaning processes and everything else, where the firefighter, when they come back, they take all that stuff off in a particular place. Yeah, and then when they go into the bunks, they're breathing clean air that has not been exposed, and they've got all that stuff off of them. And I think that's a really, really important differentiation between the old station and the new station. The other more minor suggestion I'd say is, when talking about the number of additional pieces of apparatus that you have, get them onto one screen.
Yeah, that's tough.
And I know you're gonna have to shrink the font down. That's okay. I'd rather show.
Okay.
We used to have, I don't know, 7 pieces, and now we've got whatever the number is, 18.
And Elisha Hunchback.
Yeah. So
Chief, I would suggest you have one slide just to address Mr. Mitchell's point.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll take care of that today.
And the other health component is the exercise, the outdoor terrace,
Yeah.
and the natural
Yeah.
landscape. I think they're all helpful.
The 2 things that are killing firefighters now is cancer and suicide. And it's, you come back, like I said, we had a call the other day, we had a head-on with 4 patients, two of which were ALS, the other one, so we're calling mutual aid in, but that's a real stressful, and then it ends. So you get this incredible adrenaline crash, and you need to have some place where you can go and go, and that's what these areas are designed for. Okay, I'll do that. Anything else?
Do they have a more developed landscaping plan?
There is. It went to design review. Give me 1 second. That's my fat fingers trying to find it. Hang on. Fire station. Yeah, there's one in here that specifically calls out landscaping. I forget which one it is. That's the sign. It's not that one. Give me 1 second, Tom. I'll find it for you. we go. Where's one, because I saw the tree. There you go.
So you might want to just include that if you have time,
Sure, I'll put that just like that one.
just so you know that there's another component to the design.
You know what I almost did? I almost put all of these because it's got the lights up here, or one of the other ones had the wall lights. There you go. You know, so I almost put all these in there, but the problem is if I say this is what it's gonna look like and then something changes, I hate to do that, right? So I thought this, I can do this, and
That's plenty.
yeah, this
You
talks,
don't know. you
this
don't
talks
know.
about the lighting and the light not spilling off of the, and all that. But I can do that one. I'll put that in the only difference between this one and the town meeting one right now is those extra slides with the history. And so I'll put these in there and I'll leave those in there for the town one,
Yeah.
town meeting one, if that's
Yeah, the
okay.
history is gonna be really important.
Yep. Anything else? No? Okay. And we don't need to do the next one because it's the same one, to be honest with you, like I just said, the town meeting review.
Okay, so that brings us to schematic design cost
Madam
estimate
Chair,
discussion.
So you intend to present some or most of this at town meeting in April? Yes.
Yes, this exact presentation with the history of how we got to where we were. So we have, again, if I go back up. Okay. All of the.
Right.
All of this.
Right.
These are all hidden right now, but all the purchase and sales and how we got there and why we got there and all that.
And anticipating you may have at least one other capital request this year that you'll present at town meeting. How do you envision?
Sorry, you all don't need to look at my red.
What is it with grandchildren, huh?
Well, they take over our lives, don't they?
How do you envision the elephant in the room in terms of, you know, the fact that there's a large number out on this as of today? What do you envision in terms of
So the
discussion and engaging in discussion?
So the CIP item is the fire apparatus is way ahead of this presentation. This presentation will actually be after all the CIP items and before that's what I was told by the TA.
Yeah,
Is that where we're looking for after all the CIP?
that's
items?
what I would like to see. The
Okay.
current draft has it before.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the suggestion at tonight's
At the
board
end.
meeting that we
Okay.
flip them.
That's what I had thought.
Because there's no financial allocation for
There is
this
nothing.
tonight, so it should not be, it's a separate thing, so it should be after.
But I think setting the expectation with the town relative to, here it is, here's where we came from, here's where we are, here's where we're going. And the milestone of a special town meeting on this, you know, getting the expectation out there is important. Well, you have their eyes and minds for a night or two.
Oh, yeah, so my intent is to, when I get to that slide about the special town meeting, again, it's a slightly different presentation than with the select board because they know what we're talking about. I've hit them already a couple times for this. So, but yeah, I will hit on that. Also, by then, I anticipate better numbers or more information. So I will throw some slides in as far as that goes. Because I know Tim and Janet and Amy and Emma are all working on some better stuff. So it'd be much better at that
Can
time.
we have some kind of poster board as you walk into town meeting to remind people of this?
I'm sure.
Is that kosher?
I normally have, my intent was to do a handout with just some information along with that QR code that we have that gets them to that site.
It just has to go through.
Yeah,
Understand.
yeah, it's moderator's meeting.
Understand.
Yep.
Understand.
I
But
can't
again,
see
I
it.
think, you know, if we can do some advertising.
We lost Diana, just no. Jane, here's somebody.
I just have a question about town meeting. Will you take questions at town meeting or is it just?
That's up to the
a
moderator.
presentation? I was just curious. Just because I'm in the zoning at the end, it will bump us another day.
It's Amy,
I know, I'm just.
I didn't even want
curious.
to do that. I was told I'm doing a presentation. It's okay.
Curious how long it's gonna be.
You're not on the warrant, though. You're not part of the,
There is a warrant article for the presentation. We're not asking
why
for
do
any
we need
money.
a presentation? Why go to the extent of needing a warrant article for a presentation?
You need a warrant article for anything that's going to be discussed at town meeting.
Yeah, but we're not voting on anything at
Mhm.
this town meeting on the fire station, am I correct?
Correct. We're not voting on it.
Then why do you need a presentation?
because this
distraction.
is
Have that off to the side, isolated, have that separate, Mitch.
yeah. I mean,
I really think, I think that's a discussion for a different meeting. We're just discussing the presentation because that's what we were asked to do.
Well, that's tonight.
You'd have to speak, you'd have to speak to
You know,
them.
That's different than the town meeting.
No, that's the same presentation for the town meeting. So that's something that you'd have to
Well,
discuss
then
with
if
the
you're
town.
doing it with the selectmen and stuff and you open it to the public, you don't need it at the town meeting.
That's, again, I
It's a
think,
distraction
again,
at the town
I think that's a discussion for a different meeting. I'm doing what we were asked for.
I understand.
Yeah.
Understand.
yeah, no, if you have that input, call into the select board meeting tonight.
Henry,
Henry Scolani, 72 Crestwood Drive. I think it's very important to let the town know what's going on. This is going to be a big item. Everybody's seen these numbers now with sticker shock. And I think I heard somebody mention that you are working these numbers right now. So hopefully you might even have an update by that time.
Yep.
So I think it's important to let the town know because right now there's rumors out there. And you know, that's what you don't want.
Bad ones. I don't think the annual town meeting is a place for it, Henry.
Okay, well, we can agree to
You
disagree.
got a lot of, whether you got 70 other items on that town meeting.
But
You
just
don't need it.
as long as there's no
distraction.
discussion, this is a presentation, no discussion. It's a 10-minute, 15-minute presentation.
Information.
okay,
And with electronic voting, we're gonna shave an hour off the meeting anyways.
I like your thinking.
That's the spirit.
we'll see if that works. All right, as a board, we've decided that we will go forward unless there's a change in the selectmen don't want us to go forward. But we will go forward with the town meeting presentation. Okay. Discussion on design review committee status and next steps.
No, schematic is next.
Oh, and it's in yellow.
It's in yellow.
Schematic design process.
It's on yellow because it was updated after the first time the agenda was posted and John had reached out and asked me to put that on there.
Chief,
John,
John.
his item.
I've gone through this with a highlighter, and I don't know if we need colliers in the room when we start taking this apart or not.
I think we do.
I think making decisions on our own is probably.
There's a couple of things in here that I can cut down or cut off, at least to start. EV stations, yeah, you can put the wiring harnesses in for 11 stations if we're required to by the state. But 1% of vehicles in the US right now are EVs. That doesn't include hybrids. This is statistics from the steering as of January. And I would think if you look at the representation, if we're putting, how many parking spaces, Chief?
For total,
It's
Total.
11. Wasn't it?
there's 35 for the public and the rest are for.
Okay, do the math. You know, we voted on, I think if we cut it down to 6, to enable 6 stations, I think we should cut it down to 3, no more than 4.
I'll disagree with that. My understanding is, I forget who, that was one of the architects said that they thought that town was preparing to require 6, whether it be by bylaw or something else. Also, we had a $50,000 grant from the state to do this.
I understand, but I'm looking where we can cut this down, because we're spending the public's money.
Now, what does an EV station cost? I don't even know.
Well,
They
the
had
other
it
question
in-
is who owns it? Who owns that?
Well, it'll be on town property.
But who owns the actual station?
The town would own. Yeah,
Are they credit card activated?
that's something that we or you or somewhere we'd have to decide a little bit later. So there are credit card activated, there are use an app, there are free ones that don't require anything at all. I have a plug-in hybrid, so I have plugged in at a number of these things and they run the gamut as far as how they work. And I think they're good to have. The number of electric cars are only going to increase. It is shocking to me the town of Northborough owns none of them right now. Most towns have quite a few. This is a perfect spot for it. And it's not going to cost us a ton of money. I think the 11,000 is probably pretty high that they put that 11,000 per station. The double head stations that go between the parking spaces, they're a small amount of money more than one individual. So think as long as we run the conduits properly, I think we can cut some cost and keep our 6.
My point is, I think we should revisit, if we're looking at every pen.
I don't have a
There's
discussion
a
on it
line
yet.
item, and Tom, you know, finance, groundwater to variable refrigerant flow, is that geothermal wells, is that what that means?
Say that again?
Line item 14, page 2, groundwater to variable refrigerant flow volume.
Right.
And that's $2.25 million.
That was one of the options. So that's an option we haven't discussed yet. That was one of the, on that schematic that they had up that said, hey, if you want to pick this, you can.
Yeah.
But just so you know, it's going to cost $2 million to do geothermal.
So they had said that they will come back to us on a future date with an HVAC presentation of those options, and that will be one of the options.
Right.
One of the things they're modeling is what is the future operational cost savings, if you will,
Right.
by going with something like that. I think it makes sense to look at that. My gut feeling is I'll be surprised in the end result whether we keep that.
Yeah.
But I want to,
It
from my
is-
perspective, I want to see that math.
It's
before
one of the
making a
single
decision.
biggest line items in the whole
It's
thing.
huge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, I would need to be
That's
truly
convinced.
convinced.
And it's important to understand that's not currently in the base. So that's
Right.
not currently in the
Right.
number that
It's
they
a-
showed.
It's an alternate.
It's an alternate.
So they just did a school in Westboro, a failed school that has both photovoltaic on the roof and they have a geothermal heating system. So it's been open for a couple of years, so I can get some information from the education committee about, is it really performing
Mhm.
as they predicted it? Because it's comparable size building, different use, of course, but we can get some from a local.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
I think one of the other important things to understand, and when people hear geothermal in town, they think senior center. They think of all the problems we've had with the senior center. It's important to understand the senior center is an open loop geothermal system, meaning it's not, the pipes are going down and pulling water from the ground and there's all kinds of issues with that.
Yeah.
We're talking about a closed loop system where the pipes would actually go down and come right back up and there's no exchange
Right.
of water, but there's an exchange of heat and cooling. So there is a big difference.
Come a long way.
Yeah, there is a big difference.
Chief, fire suppression system is in the apparatus bay only, or the
Fire
entire
suppression systems throughout the building.
building? The irony of a fire.
Well,
Well,
if you look here, we don't have one. So we do have alarms, but we don't. have fire
Actually, the
suppression systems.
alarm was put in after,
Yeah,
many years after.
Electric earthwork, 6, curbs and gutters.
what page are you on? If I
I'm
may?
looking at
Look at the bottom page.
page 4, sorry.
Okay.
I apologize, page 4. Yeah, the points of contingencies in more than one place, I think we
Yeah.
need to look at that.
Yeah.
And
They've resolved that
Yeah.
will be, I forget the exact, 826 to 924, something like that, that will come off of even the base. Because they double calculated.
Which is a significant amount.
That's real money. It's nice we didn't have to cut anything to save the money.
And when you're talking escalations, you're talking, what are they talking, 10% you're saving that escalation? But,
Yeah, I don't remember the
Contingency.
percentage that they use.
Yes, it's somewhere around, it's over $1 million. So
the trench drains are associated with
trench drains are in the apparatus floor.
those. Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? I think that I want to dig into what
Oh, we
we're
should go
starting.
line
Yeah.
item by item, but
Yeah.
I just highlighted certain things.
Yeah.
that
I think we should maybe schedule an additional
we
meeting
need to.
with Tim Alex being like the primary, but I would like to have the architects there too to answer that.
Mhm.
Because that's really the OPM's responsibility to help us with this process.
Agreed.
Whether it be an additional meeting or at our next regular meeting, if there's time. I think we should go through and ask those questions.
We need to go line by line.
So we have a full understanding.
Yeah, and I think that kind of meeting, we need 2 hours.
Should we be looking at scheduling that meeting now?
I will speak to Tim. If that's what the committee wants me to do.
And do mornings work for most people, or would you rather stay with nights
My
before
preference,
we start scheduling?
my preference is evenings.
Yeah, the only reason this was scheduled today was because we had the meeting tonight, and I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to go over. I didn't want to present without you guys having seen it.
I'm good.
Preferably stick with Wednesday if possible.
We can stick with the Wednesdays at 6:30 if that works for everyone. I'll talk to them.
All right, so we'll just continue this discussion as soon as we make a meeting. Okay. Okay, back to design review committee status and next steps.
Yeah, so the main reason I wanted to talk about that today was because we had the schedule coming up and then we were gonna talk to them. I don't know if we need to actually dig into this today, but there's certain things that we need from design review. We need to know the architect's feedback, because he didn't look at the plans before the last design review. He had got them, but he said he didn't see them because he had a Wi-Fi issue. So we need to get that. We need to get any feedback from them so we can make any adjustments, potential adjustments. And I'm not the person to talk to, but one of the concerns I have is when we have all the architects, when we have all of our engineers there at the meeting, we're paying for all of them to be there. And when there's no feedback for them, I don't want to waste them being there, if that makes sense. So I'd like to make sure, I was just gonna draft a letter that send it to design review through Lori that says, hey, this is the feedback we need. We need something from landscape. We need, I think I have a list, but I have to look. Does anybody have any concerns if I draft? I'll send it out to everyone to take a look at before I send it.
And we're gonna postpone this April 11th.
I have to talk to Laura, to Janet and Amy, make sure that they're good with that, because here's the problem. If we delay things too much, then it could throw off the whole schedule. So they may say, no, we need to get that done. So I will talk to them about that, but it's really gonna be their call. You guys I forwarded out the calendar to everybody, so I know that it's pretty tight. One of the things they need more time on is actually so they can work and not meet with us. So anything, so besides landscape design, anything else that we need to get back from design review? Is there any other particular stuff that we need to get back from them before we can finalize?
Are you looking for comments from the design review through Lori?
Yeah, you saw you watched the meeting.
Mhm.
So there was no comments on landscape, so we need to know, is this tree okay, is that tree not okay, that type of stuff. I can't make those decisions, that's something that the landscape architect will make.
Yeah, so if you want comments from David Barron regarding planting schedule, Lori could give you comments about size and location of trees.
Okay.
Because you have a commercial, abutting residential, you have so many parking spaces, so that triggers certain requirements.
Right, just like the street trees that we talked about.
Right.
And
There weren't any comments in the last meeting regarding the building design. We're not gonna change the floor elevation. We're not gonna go off the property to change grading.
So final comments about the exterior design?
Right, the building design, we're still working on the detailing of the brick and the accent stone.
Yep.
And the tower and the look of the windows. I think that's evolving.
Okay.
We just want to,
Sure.
are they on board with that?
And again, we're just looking for some information so we can give some guidance to our,
Correct.
that's what I'm gonna ask for. That's okay with you guys. So be expecting it.
I guess in my opinion, like, it was concerning before the last meeting because we watched the meeting the night before and the votes were taken like on the wall. It was like, we're voting on the wall, so we're not getting, so then the design review didn't talk about it because we're like, well, they already voted, so.
Well, Amy, I think it's important to understand, if someone comes to you with a project, and they're gonna come to you with a project that they've discussed and decided. That's all we're doing. We have to vote. We can't come to design review without us having something to give you. Now, that doesn't mean that, oh, we voted on it, so it's a closed deal. It means this is what we decided, and this is why we decided. We're still bringing that to design. In fact, I said, and I know Mitch said, that we want design review's opinion on the wall, on the tower. We've made those comments. So we may say, this is the tower we like with this design. We're kind of the owners, right? Saying, this is what we want. Here you go. And then as design review, you do your job as design review. That's the way I look at it. You guys agree with me?
And also the architects are asking us to give them feedback so they could continue their process. So I think taking votes at their request is appropriate for the committee.
And I agree, and design review is to review, and if there's problems, let us know, but it's advisory.
So that's all I wanted to bring up. I'll draft a letter, send it to them, just look for some little bit more defined stuff that we can send to the architects and landscapes. They can actually, I don't want to go into the next meeting not having anything to, you know what I mean? I'd like some information, that's all.
Okay. Public comment limited to 3 minutes and must be related to an agenda item. Public comment. Henry?
Just one question. Is it fair to say that 49.9 million as long as we do it during 2024, it won't exceed that. Is that a fair statement to make?
Well, that has the contingency built in it, so.
It has all sorts of contingencies built in it. That's, so.
It would, well, obviously, if I
Go.
yeah, obviously, we can't guarantee anything
Yeah,
until we
I
get the bids.
understand that,
And the current schedule is we'll have the bids before town meeting, before we vote. The 49.9 includes, as if we had said yes to every possible
Yeah, I understand
alternate.
that, right.
We've already said no
Right.
to a couple of
Right.
them.
Yeah.
So in theory, the next time that we get a sheet, even the top end should be less than 49.9.
Okay.
That's my expectation. That's as well as I can answer your
I mean, that's a
question.
marketing ploy. You give the big price and then you show how we save money.
Yeah, I think-
I didn't say that.
What's what we all,
$49.99.
I think what we all have to be,
How can you say that if you're already
excuse
sharing?
me,
Hang on,
excuse me.
Huh?
I think what we all have to be aware of is whatever we approve at town meeting, we can't exceed.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
that's the
understand.
top dollar.
But I'm saying right now you got two prices, 43 point something and 49.9. Actually, everybody looked at the 49.9.
Even that bottom range that bottom number can go down.
Right, right.
We're all hoping.
Yeah, no, I just understand. I want people to understand that.
Yeah, we're working our way down.
Yeah.
If I can, Tom, would you mind speaking to schematic design pricing versus?
Yeah.
Well, when they do the preliminary design and the pricing with that, you have to build in a range because there's so many decisions that haven't been.
I have a copy of that 26 page and I've been through it also. And I can see, it's an estimate, okay? It's a range. And now as you get more definitive with the design, now you can zero in on the costs.
Exactly.
Yeah, that I understand.
Windows, doors, brick.
But you ask anybody, and even the newspapers, 49.9, was the number that jumps out at everybody, okay? So everybody has sticker shock right now.
I had sticker shock with the 43, so.
Yeah, well, I understand that.
It's so important to understand though, because it's a municipal project. There's a lot that is out of our
I
control
understand. You
as
have
far
to
as bidding
state-
goes.
State
We-
wages, all that.
We
stuff.
have to pay prevailing wages, which just kills us. I can tell you that is horrible.
Well, that's why you didn't take the gas station down. The town didn't take it down. You had the.
That is
others take it
correct, because it
down.
was
Yeah, I
much
understand.
less expensive
Yeah.
to do it that way.
Amy?
I just had a point about the EV stations. I agree that I think 13 is a lot at the fire station. I think if there's like a grant to get EV stations, we should spread it out. Put some at the 135 park where people are charging, they can walk, or the library. Seems like 13 stations where people might be parking and blocking the fire station. It's an emergency place. I didn't think it was a place where we should be parking and charging our cars.
The grant that I referred to is per location. So we can apply and would likely receive $50,000 each for, so I don't, there's probably some limit as far as number of locations.
Yeah,
It's not
there was-
50,000
There was actually
down.
discussion that we had 3 addresses where, because it's 61,
Yes.
65,
Yeah, that's right.
and 10 Monroe, so hey, you know,
Another, when you talk to the architects, the question I had is, with the roof monitors, and I mentioned a design review, but everybody probably didn't hear it. What is the warranty on the roof if you cut into it? Like, I know if you have,
so they're not cutting into it, it's designed that way. It's not like they build the roof and then come up with a chainsaw and cut into it.
yeah,
It's designed that way. Roofs now, flat roofs are just as good, if not better, than regular roofs, from what they say. There's just as much a chance of leaking at any seam, and I don't want to, I mean, Tom could probably speak better than I can. But when I spoke to the architects and to the OPM about it, they said, no, they're not cutting into the roof. That's the way it's designed to be built. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they run these flashing up and then flashing down. I mean, it's standard detailing.
And I'm sure it would come with some type of.
I'm sure it does.
Yes.
The roof will come with some kind of warranty.
I guess that was my question. If there's someone installing the roof and it's a different person that installs the roof monitors, will the roof installer still guarantee it if someone else is doing the roof
The
monitors?
GC's in charge of all of it, so there'll be, yes.
So the GC is the one who's gonna give us the warranty?
I don't know if it's through the GC or they'll control it. I can't tell what that is so far down the road, Amy. I can't tell you, but I assume there'll be some kind of.
Anything that's done during the construction
There's
process
some kind of
before the keys are
warranty.
handed over. The GC is required to coordinate all the work between those. Adding something later sort of if we add solar panels later, not part, I have that question as far as how, if at all, that impacts the warranty. And that's a question we can discuss when we get
Yeah,
closer to
if you
talking
go in
about
and we
details.
start drilling holes to put PV on, now are we voiding the warranty?
Yes.
That's very possible.
Yep.
Anyone else? Yeah, Ron?
Yes, we haven't mentioned all, just building the building, which is on 32, 33. 35, something.
30.9.
Yeah, so I think people should know that, and the rest of it's gonna be, what we have to add for installation, equipment, blah, 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 blah. I think we haven't even mentioned that at all, the cost, just on the building.
Yeah, it's 30.9 to build the building right now. And again, I've been calling chiefs all around, and I spoke with a good friend of mine who's a chief in Pepperell. And they just did a public safety building that didn't pass, and their square foot price was over $1,000. And when I questioned some people we just had a recent conference in Worcester, and I asked some people, they said the days of $600-700 a square foot are long gone, not happening. Everything's going to be $1,000 for a fire station's municipal, $1,000 a square foot and go.
New houses cost $450 to $600 a square foot.
Which used to be the price of a fire station square foot.
Nantucket, it's $1,000 a square foot for a house.
That's crazy.
And Ron, to your point, the chief has two slides. One is the construction cost, one is everything else in there. So the 30 is the hard construction costs, and everything else is beyond that. So that's where you get to the 43, 49
Fees.
I mean, the cost of the building is that,
Right.
30, then the rest of it's gonna be material, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
At least the people, because they see that 49.9, that's what's sticking in there, and a bunch of guys at the senior center almost fainted. Hey,
Well, they're
just-
not the only ones.
Yeah,
That's it's still a total cost, doesn't matter how it's broken down.
Right.
Okay, any other business that may legally come before the committee? Oh, do I have another email? No, okay.
I do. As you all know, we got one online question back on February 20th, and the policy is I bring the online questions here and we discuss it. I'll be honest, I responded to this one because it was very easy to respond to. And the question was, I was wondering where the communications antennas will be mounted. So I just was very clear and said they'll be on top of the station. We did look at this. We're not going to be doing, I think you probably all got a copy on it, but I want to make sure to bring it up in this meeting. The only answers I will give without checking with these guys are ones that are very easy that I can, and I don't have to keep someone hanging. I did try to update the online section to tell people that we're not ignoring you if you submit a question. So if you submit a question today, we don't have another meeting for a month. We're not ignoring you, but it's a committee answer. It's not a chief answer or somebody else's, so that's why. And I'm going to try to remember to respond back to them to remind them that.
Chief, does that belong in the FAQs response? Like that?
The deputies does the FAQs. We just updated it Friday. I don't know if he put it in there. I'll have to check. Those FAQs, he's doing an outstanding job. If anyone has anything they want to add to the FAQs, let us know, but he's right on top of it. He's actually in.
There is an explanation about the costs.
Yeah, he's in Virginia right now because he's down there with he's part of the regional FEMA task force team. So that's where he's down there doing some training. But that's all I had.
All right. Adjourn. Motion,
Make a motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
I'll second.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
So much easier when you're not in Zoom.
At 9:30 a.m.
We don't have to schedule yet. Chief's gonna look at the next.